Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Angela Brennan and today I'm bringing you all things Lindy's magical powders. I start by swatching them. Firstly, I use the Wildflower's Swatch Tag Die to do individual swatches. And you'll see later on in the video, I also do swatches by sets. I like having both of them because I use them differently and I store the swatches together with the sets of magical powders. There are two types of magical powders. You've got the normal magical powders, which are very shiny and iridescent, and you've got some of the magical powders that are called flat. So they don't have the iridescence or the shininess, but they're just as beautiful, the colors. So I use the Swatch Tag dies to, and I all got a bit of a I've got a tag ready so I can make sure all my labels as well as the squares with the colors are put in the same place. I have this available. The next time when I get new colors, I can swatch them in the same way. So I get the swatch tags ready. Then I've cut all these watercolor pieces of squares, which this is the watercolor paper that I'll use when I use these magical powders. So always swatch your products on the same medium or the same paper or card that you will use them when you actually use them. I start by swatching the Alexandra's artists. These are artists from Alexandra Ranke, so they came up with their own colors. I love all the colors. This is the start, the first video of me using it because I just got these, so I will be using this in many videos to come. I put a mint tape, a scrapbook mint tape on the base of my glass mat, and then I attach it with some washi tape, and that's how I attach the 5 squares of watercolor paper so I can do the swatches for each of the colors that come in each of the sets. So each set has got 5 colors, and that's how I swatch them. And when I swatch them, there'll be residue on the glass mat. I use that to put them all into one A6 piece of watercolor paper so that I can see all the colors together. I do have a few containers of water because I don't want to contaminate the colors when I swatch them because I want to see the true colors. So I have one container where I do the initial wash, and then I have 2 or 3 other containers where I will wash the brush until I get a clear water so the colors will not be contaminated. So I do this for all the 13 sets. So I do get 13 sets. So 8 of them are magicals where you got the shininess and the iridescence, and the 5 of them are flat colors. So I show how I create backgrounds, how I swatch them, I create backgrounds, and with the backgrounds, it's easy to do different types of cards where you can put big sentiments, die cuts, or otherwise. And I also show how I create some of the paper to do die cutting. So I show you a few of the cards. I make 8 cards altogether. Now this is my first foray into Lindy's magical powders, but I can see myself use them a lot more. I really hope you enjoyed the video and give this a go. You don't have to get all the colors. I've got really close-up pictures of all the colors on my blog, and the link to my blog is in the description below, so you can see if you want to start by getting 1 or 2 colors to see whether it's something you want to use. Now the colors, the powders are not quite representative of the colors, hence the swatches, but the colors on the packaging, the round plastic tubes that they come in, are quite representative of the colors, but I do like to see what they look like on the watercolor paper that I want to use. Since I use a lot of water when I use this medium, watercolor paper seems like the best way to do it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press the notification bell so you're alerted when a new video is uploaded. I'll leave you with some music now, and I'll catch you in a bit. here I stamped the Paint a Flower Clematis Josephine outline stamp from Old to New onto watercolor paper, and I stamp it with clear embossing ink, sprinkle it with some pure white embossing powder, and melt the embossing powder with a heat tool. Now when I apply the magical powders and spray it with water, the embossed areas will repel the ink or the powder. So you can still see the outline, the white outline of the image, and you can see the colors just around it. I intend to do quite a light wash, but I end up doing quite an intense wash, and then I paint the flowers with a little bit more intense color. I think the background could have been lighter, but hey, we live and learn. After the background with the embossed flowers had dried, I think that flowers don't stand out enough. So I used the same colors or some of the same colors to paint some of the flowers and leaves just to make them pop out a bit more. I think the background could have been lighter again, but then I try again and I think it does turn out all right. Let me know what you think. So these magical powders can definitely be used to paint with, to watercolor with. I think I'm going to enjoy using this because they paint really well and quite easily, and a little bit of powder goes a long way. When I received some of my Lindy's magical sets, especially the Alexandra's Artist and the Prairie Wildflower, and also a little bit of the Victorian Bouquet, there was some spillage. So some of the containers, the powder spilled. And that's what I use in some of the backgrounds here today. So you will see them on paper. So when I unpacked them, they were all in the packaging, which is a bit of a mess, but don't wipe them with anything, but just try and empty them dry. Don't introduce any wet wipes or anything because the color will stain everywhere. Keep them dry and just empty them onto a piece of paper and use them the way I have. So you don't waste them, so you get to use them on a background. That's kind of how I chose my initial colors. So the next time I use these Lindy's magical powders, I'll use it a little bit more discerningly because I'll be able to choose the colors. Colors here were kind of chosen for me because these are the colors that spilled when they were delivered. And I think they do say that no matter how well you package it, they come from the US, so they will, by the time they make it to Scotland, there will be quite a bit of bumps that these packages get. So I'm thinking that's why they spill. But I enjoyed using them anyway. after a lot of overworking the backgrounds, I end up with these three panels. And while the colors look quite similar, I do end up making them into cards. I use a lot of blues and greens and quite dull blues and greens, but I think the cards turned out quite lovely. So I do show you the completed cards at the end of the video, so hang on and wait for them. If you use these inks or these magical powders, remember they will stain your fingers. If you're going to somewhere, probably best not to. Maybe use some gloves. But I didn't really mind my fingers getting stained because they will go away within a day or two. are the completed cards. The best thing about these cards are you can complete the cards and embellish the cards with whatever you have in your craft stash. Because the backgrounds are so lovely and shiny, and I love the iridescent look of it, I wanted to keep it simple, and I used some large sentiment dies with some of the cards, and some of them I used dies, leaf dies, just to show that shininess and iridescence and the mixture of colors against the background. I didn't want to cover up too much of it. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press the notification bell so you're alerted when a new video is uploaded. Do head over to my blog, and the link to my blog is in the description below, where you can see close-up pictures of all the products used and indeed all of the swatches of the Lindy's Gang magical powders, so you can decide which ones you want. Happy crafting, and I'll catch you in my next video. Take care.